Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the most exceptional conservative talk show in the world on the most exceptional conservative network in the world. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com on the Exceptional Conservative Show Network. We're actually on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialist. What a huge show tonight we have, ladies and gentlemen. You know what day this is. It's Wednesday in the nation's capital. And something special happens in Washington, D.C. every Wednesday. First and foremost, this is Sackheads Radio Night, and we want to thank the great people of Sackheads Radio, shrmedia.com, for carrying us live. Also want to thank hptalkradio.com for carrying us live. Thank you so much for doing that. And for those who will be tuning in to us at 2 a.m. on the Liberty Channel at Great Nation Rising, smooches to you. Thank you so much. Some of you are watching us via Ustream. Some of us are watching via live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I have to give my first opening thoughts and props to my Mary Brockman. Mary Brockman is my bouncer and chief. If you diss her, you diss me and will be dismissed. Thank you all so much for being here. Ralph Chittams, the Kraken, is up in the hizzy at the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room. You can find that directly at TECS tab on the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. We're going to release him right after the beginning of the second hour of our program. Lonnie Poindexter will be joining us in the second quarter of this hour. And of course, Shannon Wright will be dropping the mic in the last quarter of our program. But in our first quarter, which is why I'm extremely excited, because TECM, we go and we get the very best people and present them to you on our radio network. Stephen Hayes, the chairman of fairtax.org, will be with us tonight. We'll be talking about tax reform and the choices that Americans need to make. Also want to send a shout out. I skipped over Dave Milner. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Dave Milner is best known for being the unpleasant blind guy. But I digress. Back to Stephen Hayes, fairtax.org chairman, is here with us tonight. We'll be talking with him momentarily about the choices that we have to make. We talked with Pete Sepp last night. He's on lobbying on the Capitol Hill. So is Stephen Hayes. There will be tax reform. We need to find out what type of reform it is and how best it serves all of us. We only have a few months left before we really move forward in all of this. So glad to have you all here. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, without a shadow of a doubt, one of my major concerns at this point is that you are more profitable than you ever have been. Part of that profitability is the I hate to have to tell you all this, but there's only one VIP pass left. Only one. By the end of the show, I think it'll be gone. There's only one VIP pass left for the Trailblazers weekend. And we'll be doing a special show on Friday morning for the Trailblazers. But I'm just letting you all know, if you want that one pass, I suggest before the hour goes, you go ahead and get it, because these tickets are moving very quickly. This is a very big event in Washington, D.C. It's at the JW Marriott this Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 6:30 p.m. For the VIP reception and at, noon on Sunday for the luncheon. It's a huge event. Go ahead and get your tickets now. Don't be fronting. Don't be like, man, I thought you were gonna hook me up at the door and everything. Don't do that, because I don't know you. I just gotta let you know that. I'll know you on Monday. I won't know you over the weekend. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We know how we get this thing started, how we rock and roll on here. Let the kids lead us, definitely, for the Pledge of Allegiance. For those of you following along, this is the Pledge of Allegiance for the United States of America. We ask that you put your right hand over your heart, take off your hats, and let us begin.
Ready? Begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing better than the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States of America, at least, and that's my opinion, and you can take that to the bank. I want to take this moment right here. We're going to get on the line Mr. Stephen Hayes. Stephen Hayes.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
This is Ken McClinton from the Exceptional Conservative Show. You're contacting Stephen Hayes at this particular moment.
Steve Hayes.
Good evening, Mr. Hayes. This is Ken McClinton from the Exceptional Conservative Show. You are live on radio.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, how you doing, sir? What a great...
Well, thank you.
It's a great pleasure and honor to have you on. I know that you and Pete Sepp, we had on last night from National Taxpayers Union, are knocking down the doors of the congressman right now because there is room for tax reform in America, and I want to talk with you about that. But for the very few people in America who don't know you, can you tell everybody what Fair Tax is all about, fairtax.org is, and who you are, sir?
Absolutely, Ken. Thank you. Fair Tax is a proposal that's been around for going on 20 years now, and we're starting to get a lot of traction. We want to replace the current income tax, payroll tax model, personal and corporate tax, the FICA and Medicare, with a national retail sales tax. When you go to work, you get your check. No longer are you having withholding for Social Security and Medicare or for income tax. You get it all, and then when you go out and make purchases, at that point you're taxed on your consumption of the purchase at retail of new goods and retail services. So it's simple. I am myself, I've been introduced as a recovering tax attorney because for many years I was a tax attorney. I am the president of Americans for Fair Taxation, and I've been working on this for, Ken, I'm embarrassed to say, but 27 years.
Exactly.
Trying to get attention, and we are starting to get some real traction because, as they say, the wheels on the income tax, payroll tax are coming off.
Exactly.
We're going to have in about 2 weeks, and the numbers that were sent to me, preliminary, not preliminary numbers, but a draft of the study is saying that and showing why they believe the evasion, meaning people who are not paying income tax, is going to be, that should be, is going to be $675 billion with a B dollars in this year. And it's primarily Internal Revenue Service numbers. It's going to be very, very difficult for someone to challenge it because these are they got directly from the IRS. And so what we've got is a situation where the 10-year forecast, if it continues to increase at the same rate it has for the last 10 years, which I think is conservative because, again, we're going to an economy where we no longer have a big majority of people who are employees and have their money withheld in their taxes.
Exactly.
But independent contractors. And so Dr. Sabula estimates that the amount in the next 10 years could be $9 trillion dollars of taxes that should have been paid that weren't.
Now
that's an incredible number. And I think that's going to be the demise of the system. It's a question of what replaces it.
Wow. Again, this is another one of those repealed and replaced kind of things because we listened to the progressives back in 1913 who told us that if we were to move towards a progressive tax, all of life would be good. Candy canes and strawberries would be floating down our rivers. Life would be just cherries. And the fact of the matter is that the system has created more dysfunction than it has created function. You're talking $675 billion and money that's not being collected by the Internal Revenue Service in this particular year. That's virtually the entire defense fund.
It is. And it's also the difference between having an annual deficit and actually having a surplus. Let's just say it's only $450 billion. It balances the budget.
Exactly.
You know, we no longer have deficits continuing to pound up the national debt. And it's not going to get better, kid, because you've got a situation where more and more people, primarily, you know, younger people, are out there and they're being given all their money through 1099s and through other things without withholding. Yep. And they basically have to make a decision as to how much they pay. And many of them are making the decision that they're going to increase deductions, let's just say in excess of be able to take, because they realize that if they're even ever caught, which is, I mean, honestly, I had a CPA tell me that for a lot of these people, you probably have a higher chance of getting hit by a bus than you do getting audited, because they audit less than 1%, and the type of audits that are now being conducted, many of them are being done by people who are not very well trained, and a lot of things used to be caught or slipping through. Exactly. So they're starting to become aggressive. But the worst thing about this to me, Ken, is it's becoming so accepted. Yeah. I mean, I go out and make talks, and I ask the audience, and I'm talking about different types of groups, and I ask them, how many of you have had a chance to get a substantial discount for service if you paid cash? And all the hands go up. And I say, well, you know, is that, you think, from an accounting point of view? And they all laugh at me. And somebody will invariably shout out, no, they're not going to pay tax on it. I mean, the plumber that comes to you and says, well, I'll replace your under the sink item. It's X number of dollars for cash, and it's X plus for credit card.
Exactly.
That is going on, and more people absolutely find nothing wrong with it. But the problem is that those people who get withholding and those people who decide they need to pay their taxes, you know, to be as straight as they can, are picking up the tab from all those people who are starting to not pay, but yet demand that they have the same services and benefits of those that pay. That, I think, is the road that leads to a very bad place in America. And that's why I say I believe that on the income tax bus are coming off, and that we're going to see an increasing demand for real reform. That message hasn't gotten to D.C. yet. They just ignore, in many cases, this. But we had over 85 co-sponsors last session, and we expect to have that many or more this time for real tax reform. Exactly.
Tonight we're talking with Stephen Hayes, who is the chairman of fairtax.org. He is a Washington, D.C. icon, as he has been working on this for a number of decades. The type of recovery, as a recovering tax attorney, a tax reform plan that can meet the needs of the nation as well as release the burdens on American citizens. And you can find his information as we put it in the chat roll at fairtax.org, fairtax.org. Go there, get the information yourself, compare it, think it through, and make your own decisions. These are big decisions that are being made right now on Capitol Hill because, let's just be honest, you are not a friend to the CPA and the attorney. You are not a good friend.
Well, we're not, but we actually may be, because CPAs made a good living before the 13th or the 16th Amendment was passed in 1913, doing things that CPAs should do, which is helping people keep their good records, their business, helping people do planning, not creating just paperwork by filling out these endless forms.
Mm-hmm.
Why not do something productive?
Exactly.
And they're certainly smart enough they can. So I actually think I may be a better friend if I help them find more rewarding types of work.
Exactly. Now, I want to broach this with you right here. One of the big concerns is the whole idea of putting a federal government that is completely dysfunctional in charge of American consumption. We're talking about a government right now that's struggling to figure out a border tax. How dare we give them the authority to tax every part of our production system, from the candy to the wrapper? Isn't that a frailty of the fair tax program?
Well, it's a frailty, I believe, of the other side of the consumption tax, which would be the value-added tax.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about the fair tax, we have gone about as far as you can go back to the old federalist system, because this tax is only at the retail level.
Mm-hmm.
It's only for new goods at the retail level. It's only for retail services. All the other people that produce elements of a product before it gets to the retail level do not have to file tax returns. They have to file a simple resale permit, just like they do now under the state law, because 47 states have sales taxes, or excuse me, 45 states. And what we've done is we've taken it a step further, and we said, look, the people who've been doing this for 100 years can collect the federal with almost no additional overhead, because all they're going to do as a merchant is push another button to calculate the federal sales tax. You take that, Ken, and you combine it with the fact that if you and I go to Walmart and make a purchase, they collect the tax, but they don't say, hey, by the way, Ken bought that box of shotgun shells.
Okay.
All they say is that Ken spent $12.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Now,
and so we're doing it where I think we're actually freeing people. And one last thing, Ken, we're telling every single person in the United States what the cost of the Washington government is every time they make a purchase.
No.
They're going to see that number there every time they.
Now, one of the queries here is the sales tax rate. Well, even before I talk with you about the sales tax rate, because we're talking with none other than Stephen Hayes, who is the chairman and president of the fairtax.org, and chairman and president out of Florida as well. There are those who are concerned that rich people are going to get off. See, this is designed by wealthy people who are not going to spend a whole lot of money. They got all this bank load and I mean, how much are they going to spend, and how much are they going to get taxed? It's just not fair, the fair tax.
Well, you know, there's going to be an element of people who avoid it. The actual people, I knew them well, that in fact most of your audience who were watching the Super Bowl saw one of them feature Bob McNair, who owns the Houston Texans. Bob and others told me that for them personally, the sales tax would create a higher tax burden for them than the income tax, because most of them have money that they've set it up in such a way that it's barely sheltered from income tax. But it's not sheltered from purchases, and these people make purchases of things, you know, much higher amounts than I do.
Exactly.
So you're going to have that, but situation under the income tax where you may have, I mean, what's Warren Buffett's famous story? He pays less tax than his secretary?
Yes.
That's under the income tax. Well, I guarantee you he buys more things than his secretary.
Exactly. That's very true.
He's going to pay more fair tax. So is it perfect? No, but You know, what we can't do is, like my grandfather used to tell me, he says, don't ever let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We've got a terrible system now. We've got an opportunity to wrest control really from Washington, because all that's going to happen is that the retailers of goods and services are going to report or collect the money when we make purchases and send it on to DC. They're not going to identify what Ken and Steve bought.
Mm-hmm.
They're simply going to do it. It's an indirect way of taxing. It's collected by the states, just like they collect state sales taxes now, and remitted to the government. The people at the retail level who collect it will get a 0.25% of what they collect, which is helpful because for most of them it's electronic. It doesn't add any effort to what they're doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually saying you no longer are basically being treated like slaves, where you're
There you go. Mm-hmm.
to collect tax, which is what employers do now. And all of us, we're being ordered to perform all these services for the federal government for no pay.
Very true.
That all changes. So I think in a lot of ways, if you're looking at a system that can restore freedom back in a huge way, the fair tax checks all those boxes, but also look at what amount of swamp it drains. I mean, when you go to D.C. and you see this enormous empire built on the income tax,
Mm-hmm.
built by not only members of Congress who, by threatening to take away a tax benefit, receive huge contributions from the other side, like we're seeing now with the border adjustable issues.
Mm-hmm.
But also look at all the money that pours into lobbyists.
Exactly.
And many of these people who work on the Hill, they look at it sort of like an internship. They work there for 4 or 5, 6 years, and then they go out and they make 10 times as much money per year as lobbyists, coming back in and trying to get the people they used to work for to support whatever their client wants. It is a very, very, I'm going to say it, corrupt system.
Yes, it is.
That benefits
Mm-hmm.
very few people at the expense of people like you and I and your listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, we happen to have the opportunity of talking with Stephen Hayes, who is the chairman of fairtax.org. You'll see him in the halls of Capitol Hill over the next few weeks, just like you'll see Pete Sepp there. He was on last night with us from National Taxpayers Union. There is excitement about, I know what they're telling you in the press. I know what CNBC and MSNBC and all those guys are telling you. That there's no plan. There's not going to be a tax cut. Life is hard and grueling. Just forget about it. Donald Trump's the worst thing since sliced bread. But in the halls of Capitol Hill, there is conversation that's going on right now about tax reform and how to make it happen as quickly as we can. And it's just an honor to have Stephen Hayes with us. When we come back, I want to talk with you, Stephen, about some of the particulars, nauseating particulars regarding the fair tax that people love to bring up on the left because it's so unfair. And then also I want you to give people the opportunity to connect with fairtax.org and get their own answers to their questions. You are listening tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of the Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. They told me that I needed to be humble, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I decided to be awesome instead. That's the Willie Lawson Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. here on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies, anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownells.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, TECN Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECN Sean and TECN Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECN Radio.
Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Radio. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Radio. Shock. Shock. Shock.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon and
I
you're
think so.
Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time
Live on SHR Media,
and on TECN,
where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
from sports and politics
The food and entertainment,
to money
family,
and anything else in between.
community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe, Toad the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialists. We're returning back to our wonderful guest tonight, Stephen Hayes, who is the chairman and president of fairtax.org. Mr. Hayes, I want to ask you in this regard, why do you hate the flat tax so much? Why can't you see the benefit of everybody paying a strict 5% tax across the board? Isn't that a wonderful plan of action?
Well, if there was a way to create such an animal, number one, which I've not seen anybody really have one that works in real life, but let's say there was a way, because I used to have debates with Steve Forbes and be on, different panels with him and with others who were advocating the flat tax. But the real problem that I have with the flat tax, besides the fact that it's still using the income tax and payroll tax, and here's the thing. Let's say I've never heard of 5%, but let's say it was a 15% flat tax.
Okay.
Let's just say it was. That would be a lot lower than most of the ones. Most of them, the Forbes was around 20, the Army was around 22. So let's just say they got it to 15.
Okay.
The problem with that, and this is what I told Paul Ryan when he told me he was going to start stopping evasion when it got, the rate down. The problem with that is that if you still have a payroll tax and you're self-employed, you're paying a 15% flat tax, but you're also paying 15% in payroll tax, and you're also paying state and local income taxes. So you very well may be paying 35% or more in taxes with a flat tax, because again, it's the total amount of money that's taken away from you that determines the amount cost to consume. All taxes are consumption taxes because they take away our ability to consume. The flat tax, the payroll tax, take it away, and the state income tax before we get it. It's pre-taxing consumption, right?
Exactly. Very well said there.
Whereas the sales tax, thank you, the sales tax taxed consumption at the point of purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So you take and you look at a person who is now evading, and people are smart about this in my experience. They don't evade 100%. That plumber that I mentioned as an example, who actually came to me and offered me, a cash and a credit card price.
Exactly.
That plumber hide all of his income. He reports a lot of income, but he's got maybe 20 grand here that just doesn't get reported as income, either through more deductions or through cash.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he's paying zero right now on his grand a year. You're talking about him paying, let's say, $8 grand out of his to this new tax plan just because somebody said it was simpler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Exactly.
I think you're going to find that you and say, well, Ken, I appreciate the offer, and I really appreciate it as it applies to my income I am reporting.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to report this other income and pay, $8,000 to the government when right zero. I'd rather have the money, and I don't feel like I have a risk of being caught. And even if I am caught, all they're going to do is make me pay it back.
Exactly. Now,
lose.
real quick, because there was a question in the chat room by Mary Brockman, my bouncer in chief. She asked me to ask you, will food be taxed under this particular proposal?
It absolutely will.
Okay.
The caveat, though, there's 2 points that I think Mary should really look at. It's a good question, Mary. The 2 points are, one is we have it set up where purchases for a family unit up to the poverty level for that unit, and for a family of 4, it's going to be close to $36,000 in 2017. Of purchases are not going to pay the fair tax.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. You get those purchases up to the poverty area of the fair tax. The purchases above that, you start paying fair tax.
Mm-hmm.
However, for most families, the amount of tax isn't the 23% that's, the rate, percent, because again, they've got a $36,000 base with no tax.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing it that way because what we found is that when people go to the grocery store, guess who buys the most expensive meats? It's not the fellow making minimum wage. So the cost of exempting food,
mm-hmm.
the intention is to get the benefit to lower income people, right? That's the only reason to do it.
Exactly. But how could you tell? But how could you tell it was a low income person that bought the meat?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody in America gets and a prebate says that family of 4 every month on a credit card, if they choose, in their checking account, if they choose, is going to receive about $770, which represents the amount of fair tax they would have paid on $3,000, which is 1/12 of 36, of spending. So they're going to have the money in their account. They don't have to buy food. They can buy anything they want with it.
Wow.
But that first $36,000, the taxes have been paid. And what we are doing by this method is not only are you getting your whole paycheck, but we're also getting rid of the most regressive, harmful tax on lower income people that we have, which is called Social Security and Medicare tax.
Mm-hmm.
Because every dollar from $1 is taxed. It doesn't make a difference if you have one family member or 20. the same rate, and it caps at 120,000. So it only applies to people making up to 120,000. That is the classic definition of regressive, and that is the most regressive tax we have. Plus, Social Security and Medicare are quickly going broke. Medicare is having to be supplemented every year by more and more funds from the budget because we don't have enough people
working,
to pay for the benefits of Social Security and Medicare. So we have to start supplementing it, or we have to drastically cut it. By funding it through consumption, which is what we're doing, we're spreading the cost over the entire country, and Medicare and Social Security solve it again.
Wow.
Because we're not just relying on taxes.
Steve, oh my God. It's like at the end we hit the can of worms that we need to be talking about, the choices that people have got to make, and they need to be involved in terms of the next tax reform, because this is it. In terms of tax reform, we're talking about getting rid of the entire 16th Amendment virtually by the next tax reform. How can people get in contact with you? And I want you back next month so we can talk about this in greater detail. How can people get in contact with you?
I love it. What they can do is go to fairtax.org and get all of the information I talked about. We've got studies on the site. They can, if they're interested, they can sign up for our newsletter. They can become a member. We're an all-volunteer group, so it's not, you're not going to be paying for a lot of frill. Or you can go, if you want to help get more people involved, we have another site which help people sign people up for it called bigsolution.org, Big Solution, SOLUTION.org. So fairtax.org has got all of the data, the detailed data. Bigsolution.org has all the information of how you can help by getting other people involved. But if we miss this train, you've said it correctly, if we don't get it this time, it'll be 10, 15 years, 20 years. Another real chance. And by then, I'm afraid we're going to have almost a revolt on our hands, because how long are people who are on W-2s going to put up with paying for the cost of government for all these other people who are evading more and more and more?
You got that right.
We don't need this. We could do it much more efficiently with a fair tax.
Thank you so much, Steve Hayes. My God, we have got to get him back on this particular program. We thank you so much, Stephen Hayes, Chairman and President of FairTax.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you. Great pleasure. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, we have got to get Steve back. We're going to get Pete back. Taxes, I really believe, is the big topic. But when we come back, we're going to talk about a GOP senator who is reading his hate mail, racist hate mail, and he's black. Lonnie Poindexter is popping up in just a few. We'll be right back.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your Lion Chaser in the good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter, on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. He's the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat them.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City in over 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. And I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. It's all a game, Lonnie. Because I get that a lot. And they're the crew that has their bags packed at the train station waiting for Jesus to come back. We'll be here in a minute. On a train, on the train, on the wheels on Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issue is the blue elephants aren't in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I want to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClinton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net. Encourage your listeners to be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter and Urban Family Talk.
And we welcome America's Lion Chaser to our shores, to our boardroom this particular evening, none other than Lonnie Poindexter, who is a Christian conservative icon at Family. Oh my goodness. God. Oh my God. I am getting old right before my very eyes. Right before my very eyes. Lion Chaser Radio. Good evening, sir. It's a great pleasure, honor to have you on the air with us.
Well, with age comes wisdom, and also comes the moniker Don Vito. So it's owned. I mean, you own it now. So just walk in it.
Thank you. He is Lion Chaser's radio show host and Urban Family Communications Washington, D.C. correspondent, Lonnie Poindexter. I got to ask you here, Lonnie. I just got that feed out via your Facebook page, and I'm going to put it out so everybody gets an opportunity to see it. But apparently, Tim Scott has made a confession, and that confession is somewhat malicious. Can you tell everybody what this confession is, sir?
Well, his confession is he looked to affirm Jeff Sessions in his plight to be vetted, being an appointee of President Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, though, was read from the Senate floor some of the many emails and so forth that he read where his personal character was attacked. He was called. I thought it was really interesting that he mentioned that he said he left out the ones that he read in front of the Senate floor that had the N-word in it. Otherwise, he'd probably still be up there reading it,
Wow, are you
session closed.
Are you serious? He's a U.S. senator. You're going to send that to him?
Hey, if you don't play by their rules, they have no rules when they deal with you. Everything is fair game. Let me read a little bit of an excerpt. I thought it was really touching. This is just an excerpt from his speech from the Senate floor. It says, if you sign up to be a black conservative, the chances are very high you will be attacked. The South Carolina Republican state. It comes with the territory, and I've had it for 20 years, 2 decades. But my friends and my staff, they're not used to the level of animus that comes in from the liberal left that suggests that I somehow are not helpful to the cause of liberal America, and therefore I am not helpful to black America.
No,
that sums up our plight right there.
It does. And I just want to correct you because you you stated that attack on his character, even calling him a N-word, that was done for the left, and the left can't be racist. I want you to know that, sir. Apparently you misspoke. It must have been a white wing, alt-right, white old guy who sent that letter to him. Am I right on that, sir?
Yeah, with a beard, and probably lives in north of South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
up in the Appalachians.
Probably used for the New England.
Can we both say that word on the air? Those two words on the air, New England.
I can't say them around Pastor Ralph. That's for sure.
Hey, you can't say it around Ralph. You cannot say it around the Kraken, New England Patriots. You cannot say Tom Brady. But how volatile is it in America right now for Black conservatives? In your opinion, Lonnie?
Well, I think two things are happening. Certainly the heat's being turned up, and that's because we're winning. But secondly, the other side of it is now they absolutely have to deal with us. I just got a message from Pastor Mark Little, who I know you've been a show prior, where he was just on CNN today, on one of the CNN shows, and he had asked me prior what I thought about it, and I says, well, he said, you think they're trying to set me up? I said, of course, you're trying to set you up. If they ask you to come on CNN, you're a conservative, and you have to be a Black conservative, certainly they're looking to. But what I'm finding, though, is you can flip it on them by just merely speaking truth, because people are starting to pay attention. If you notice Pastor Ralph in his weekly political commentation on Roland Martin's show and others who are going on mainstream media TV shows throughout the country, is because everyone now wants to see what is this thing called conservatism? What is it? Is it what the media says it is? What is it really about? And I think it's an exciting time for us. But we got to put on our full armor, brother. I mean, we got to have on asbestos underwear and Kevlar jackets and the full armor of God to go in there and deal with these uncircumcised Philistines.
I agree with you, because a lot of people, and I want to thank the great people from Red Nation Rising who are listening to us right now around the country. Thank you for listening to us on the Liberty Channel at 2 a.m. As you are listening to Lonnie Poindexter, you should hear his radio program in the mornings at UFA, Urban Family Talk Radio. Urban Family Communications is the best term for it. AFA is another usage pseudonym to use. But it's Lion Chasers Radio. It's on at 11 a.m. It's over at 1 p.m. It is one of the best conservative talk shows, Christian conservative talk shows in America. And quite frankly, we're at a situation now here that you have a lot of newbies to the conservative movement who were, taken up with the spirit of Donald J. Trump. And now they're in the midst of people calling them everything but a child of God. What encouragement can you give them, Lonnie?
The encouragement that I can give them is they're going to be tested. And if you're new to this particular worldview, and, I don't want to knock anybody that comes to the game late, because you come.
Yep.
That you're going to be tested. There's going to be times you want to walk away. There's times you want to say, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I've certainly gone. I've always found that the Holy Spirit the Lord has done something in some kind of way to let me know in my own personal walk to stay the course. And in some of those things, it's kind of spooky spiritual. And literally, I'll go having a bad day. I'm ready to throw in the towel and say the heck of all of this, and then I'll get a phone call out of nowhere or a message from someone that's in. Hey. And then I think November 8th, I don't know about you, brother, but he did something for me and that, hey, man, we do win.
Yes.
I know at the end of the book it says we win. If you go from Genesis to Revelation, it says we win. But sometimes as Christians, we forget that we also win some battles too, brother.
Exactly. Exactly. And listen, if names are the things that will turn you away from doing what's right, you're not ready to do what's right anyway. In my opinion. I spent my entire life as a young conservative, listen, the stuff they're going to say to you, it ain't pretty. It really ain't pretty, and that's just your mama.
It's not pretty at all. It's not for sissies.
Lonnie,
Manly men and godly women.
Exactly.
And we must take a stand.
Lonnie, you got a big show coming up tomorrow. What are you talking about on your show? Are you talking about Love It Up on Lyndon Baines Johnson one more time?
I might touch on it. I'm really going to be keying in on the Johnson Amendment to make sure that we get people understanding that this new initiative that the president has launched in the legislation that's in play now to encourage the faith-based community, that it needs to call their congressmen, call their senators, and let them know they need to pass this legislation because the religious liberties of the church are at stake. And if we can accomplish this, brother, we can completely right this ship called America. I got to tell you, if this legislation gets passed, I can care less whether same-sex law of the land or abortion of the law of the land, because it'll embolden the church to speak without having to look over his shoulder, worried about the heavy hand of government coming down on them.
You got that right. You got that right indeed. Lonnie, as we go to close here, I want to ask you to tell everybody where they can listen to that show tomorrow, because I think that's fundamentally one of the most important shows on the air right now, and on a very important topic, because you've had ministers walk up to you and say, you can't talk about government because the law is against you. And that's not what the law says. But go forth, let them know how they can listen tomorrow morning.
Well, they can catch me tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. That's 11 a.m. Eastern. That would be 10 a.m. Central and 8 a.m. there on the left coast of California way at urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. And then we're also on selected radio towers across as well. If you go to urbanfamilytalk.com, you can learn where we have towers throughout the country. The name of the show is Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter.
And listen, Lonnie, I just want you to know it's okay if you say New England Patriots on your afternoon show with Ralph Chittams. You say it as many times as you want. Don't worry, I got a horse head waiting if you need it.
Oh, I can say it, but I can't do it with them arms in each other. It's so painful for them.
Love you both. God bless you, Ralph. Definitely tune in tomorrow morning on Lion Chasers Radio Network. We're going to put that up in our chat room in just a moment. Thank you so much for being with us, Lonnie.
All right, brother. God bless.
God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialists. And I just want to let you all know that there is only one VIP pass left. One. And I'm afraid that by the end of this show, that might go away very quickly. So listen, I want to let y'all know straight up, okay? I'm taking the basement entrance to the JW Marriott. I don't want to see y'all standing outside talking about Kent with scalping tickets. No, So please go to the front page of the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. Do it right now while we go to break. And we want to thank the great people of HP Talk Radio and also SHR Media for carrying us live. But please do it now. Some of you all are listening now and said, I'm getting around to it. Last night you told me we had 20 tickets. I got time. You don't. There's only one VIP pass left. I have not checked everything just yet, but I'm going to encourage you right now. If you have friends and family or somebody who wants to attend this particular big event, let them know now. Register before the show is over, because after that, I can't guarantee you. And we will let everyone know who the winners are on Shannon and Mike tomorrow morning, and also on Ralph and Lonnie's Drive Time shows. And so thank you all so much. Also want to give a shout out real quick. I know I got to go to break. I know I'm going to break real quick here because they're telling me I need to. But I want to give a shout out to Melanie. Congratulations on your guest today. It was wonderful listening to two beautiful women talk about themselves. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages. The Kraken's coming up next.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who saved $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to LendingTree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Someone is sleeping on the couch tonight.
Thank you for the taking the call. And I really enjoy ICRN, your station, the station I listen to all day.
No, yeah. Okay, thanks, Dominique, for that.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. TECN Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECN Sean and TECN Clint. And we're working on the integration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECN Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for a free trial today. So let's say it one more time. There's more to Prime.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. TECN Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECN Sean and TECN Clint. And we're working on the integration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECN Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialists. We broadcast live every night on the Exceptional Conservative Network, also live on SHR Media and HPTalkRadio.com, and we are syndicated there. And we are grateful to also be carried by Red Nation Rising. Now, without further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others a man who is better known, not for his coveted candor and political speak, but because he is the Kraken himself. Yes, we introduce to you none other than Ralph J. Chittams Sr. We release the Kraken. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, and it's a rising from the depths to wreak havoc on the liberal hand is the Kraken.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Ralph J. Chittams Sr. is also on the down low, okay, when you really want the reserved intellectual. He is principal at Black Republican LLC. Tonight he's the Kraken, and quite frankly, you're the Kraken on the Ascot Man show, too. Am I right?
Sometimes. You know, I pick and choose when the Kraken appears. Sometimes the people on that show are just too stupid to engage.
That's a major endorsement. Wait a minute. Before I go on, sir, because you know that by the credo of your program, we are always right. Okay? Apparently,
we're always right.
Thank you. Apparently, there's some misunderstanding in our chat roll, the Euro-Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat roll at the exceptionalconservativeshow.com, the TECS tab. Apparently, there's some confusion over the fact that I may be a misogynist, simply because I said that two beautiful women were interviewing themselves today on Money Talk with Melanie. Where did I go wrong here?
I don't know.
Thank you.
You said that two beautiful women were interviewing each other.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know why the uproar. I thought I was absolutely correct in my statement. Could I have said there were two ugly women interviewing each other? No, because then that would have been a lie. So, am I a misogynist, sir?
That's a hard question to answer.
My good friend, Ralph Chittams Sr.
Let's just say that on occasion I have some tendencies.
See? Merely tendencies, not the whole disease. So
it's kind of like being a little pregnant, though.
See, thank you. I'm only a little. I'm not a lot. I want to talk with you tonight in all seriousness about last night's kerfuffle on the U.S. Senate floor. And apparently, Senator Elizabeth Warren, because she is a Native American and we need to respect her accordingly as such, was told...
Little Princess Pocahontas.
Little Princess Pocahontas wanted to go on the Senate floor and merely talk about her, her disconnect with the concept of supporting Attorney General, because he's Attorney General now, Jeff Sessions. And isn't that the right thing to do? What's wrong? What's wrong with her?
Getting great low.
Oh, thank you very much. What's wrong with her speaking out in antithesis to Attorney General Jeff Sessions? When did Republicans become fascists?
Okay, well, the issue that she ran afoul of, honestly, was Senate Rule 19. But honestly, in this case, the Republicans in the Senate made a tactical mistake by shutting down, because what they did is they gave Democrats an entire news cycle to fundraise and to make Elizabeth Warren look like some kind of a victim. What they should have done is they should have sat back, let her read Coretta Scott King's letter, and then the Republicans should have stood up with the plaque from the NAACP
praising Jeff Sessions, and then they should have run the video of Coretta Scott King praising Jeff Sessions for the work that he did in securing the funds for the Rosa Parks Library, and that would have made Elizabeth Warren look like a damn fool instead of making her into almost a martyr. So I think that Mitch McConnell et al. Made a tactical mistake by shutting her down, which they had every right to do under the rules, but sometimes it's best to let a fool speak to prove how stupid they are and then shut them down with the facts.
Now, one of the things that Senator Elizabeth Warren, Little Princess Pocahontas, I'm sorry,
no, not Pocahontas,
Pocahontas, F-A-U-X,
right.
F-A-U-X, Pocahontas.
Exactly.
Well, apparently what she wanted to do was read Strom Thurmond's opinion against giving a cabinet position in the Bush administration, the first Bush administration, to Jeff Sessions. She wanted to read that aloud. Now, what would have been wrong?
Wouldn't that have been considered white-on-white crime?
Yeah, what? No, Native American on white. See? It would have been going back to the Revolution. The American Indian Wars. But as I do want to say, is it the role of any Senate Majority Leader, whether on the left or the right, to shut down discourse? Because that's what the U.S. Senate was created for. Intellectual conversation between two parties, right?
But you have to remember that the U.S. Senate has some of the most arcane rules in any organization ever created by man on the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have this rule regarding disparaging another sitting senator. And the question that I have discussed with people, and we haven't come up with an answer for that, is why wasn't Ted Cruz shut down using that same Rule 19 when he called Mitch McConnell a liar on the floor of the Senate?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So we have these arcane that the Senate uses to govern itself, and one of those rules is the disparagement rule, Rule 19, and it's one of those rules that honestly gets used sparingly, but it appears that when it's used, it's typically used in a vindictive manner. Like I said, I think that they made a tactical mistake in shutting her down because they made her a martyr. They should have let her read whatever it was she wanted to read, and then counterpointed her like a pure Harvard debater, and make her look like a damn fool.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I want to ask you this as well regarding the confirmation process, which has been extremely arduous, and I mean well-intendedly arduous by those on the left. Betsy DeVos being made Secretary of Education on the same day that the House passed a bill ending the Department of Education. Want to ask you in this regard, is that what her role is at this particular point out, to be the one who turns the lights out on the Department of Education?
I don't think so. I honestly, what it would require to actually shut down a cabinet level agency is going to take an act of God.
Wow.
And so I don't see the Department of Education being shut down. There may be some rolling back of its, there may be some delegation of federal authority to the states, but I honestly do not see the Department of Education or any cabinet level agency disappearing. I just don't see it happening.
That would be so frustrating because millions of Americans would love to see the Department of Education closed completely and everything turned over to the states to handle in terms of education.
You're right. There are a lot of people who do. And And honestly, I believe that Betsy DeVos has a certain decentralized mentality, because remember when they asked her about IDEA, the federal law regarding special education students, her response, which has gotten her in trouble with a lot of people, was that should be a state function.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she kind of tipped her hand in where her brain is by how she answered that question.
Yeah. I want to ask you as well. We're talking with the Kraken tonight, Ralph J. Chittams Sr., the principal at Black Republicans Consultants, LLC. The senator from Minnesota, Al Franken, made some disparaging comments about Betsy DeVos and asked her if she believed in diversity and whether she would uphold homosexuality virtually, or the LGBTQ agenda in public schools. And she stated that she believed in diversity, but she wouldn't answer to that. Is this a welcome sign to Americans who wanted the LGBTQ agenda to be taken out of the public school system? Or is that just a political dance that we're going to have the same old thing but under a different administration?
Well, considering the fact that our president punted on that executive order, I really don't see much of a change. Now, there may be some slight changes, but since President Trump really did punt on repealing or rolling back the executive order executed by Obama, it doesn't give me any confidence that we're going to see any major changes regarding legislation and homosexuals.
Wow. Want to take you now to the next frame of questioning, and that is on last night's Ted Cruz versus Bernie Sanders showdown. I mean, what more do you want to watch after the Super Bowl than Bernie Sanders go against Ted Cruz? I want to ask you, sir, who won that debate on CNN, the healthcare showdown?
If Ted Cruz were a resident of New York State, he would have been prosecuted last night for elder abuse.
And why do you say that, Kraken?
He beat the snot out of it.
It wasn't close. It was not very pretty.
Oh, no.
It wasn't pretty.
Cinderella never got beat that bad.
Now, he is one of the foremost debaters in the country, period. Hands down. There is no question. But why did they put this together in the first place?
And download speeds.
Because they thought that they were honestly going to create enough of an uproar to hopefully, stop and derail the Trump train going forward. They just completely miscalculated.
But I want to ask you, where was this Ted Cruz in Indiana? What happened? Why do we have President Trump and not President Cruz?
Remember, last night was a one-on-one match. For the campaign, what you had were cage matches.
Exactly.
You had 6, 7 people on the stage at the same time. Ted Cruz didn't have the opportunity to zone in on anyone like he was able to zone in on Bernie last night and just eviscerate him.
Oh my God!
That's what happened.
Oh my God! Which actually shows you the brilliance of Donald Trump. He knew where his weakness was, and he refused to let the world see it. The great debater never had an opportunity to go one-on-one with Donald Trump, And
no.
And if he did, it would have been similar to last night. That was an embarrassment.
No, it wouldn't have. Because you have to remember, Donald Trump, he would not have gotten into a faction with Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
He would not have, because that's not what Donald Trump does. Donald Trump has his populist appeal. He would not have gotten into faction figures and tried to out-Cruz Cruz. He would have just been Donald Trump.
Yeah,
and Cruz being a classical debater, there's a possibility that Trump being Trump would have completely frustrated him.
Really? You believe that? Oh my goodness. Are we at 4th and 1 and a yard away from the end zone here?
No, I'm just saying, when you're fighting somebody who doesn't do anything conventional,
yeah,
and doesn't do anything that you anticipate them doing, and they come at you out of left field for a split second, you're going to stand there stunned and go, what the heck is going on? And if you don't react fast enough, that momentary stunning is enough for that person to score on you.
Okay. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Listen,
and Donald Trump during the campaign was just that unpredictable.
I want to, this is breaking news here. I want to make a correction from something that I said earlier. Apparently, it's Black Elephants Consultants, LLC. So
right, Black Elephant Consultants.com is the website. Yes, Black Elephant Consultants.com. I just posted a link in the chat room. I put up a blog post today regarding the Free Speech Fairness Act, which has been introduced into Congress, which is what needs to be done so that Donald Trump made to totally destroy the job can actually occur, because that can only occur if legislation is actually passed in the Congress. So Senator James Langford and Representative Jody Height have actually introduced the legislation into both houses of Congress, which would free not just churches, but all 501c3 nonprofit tax-exempt entities. It would allow them to engage in partisan politics.
Mm-hmm.
It would, free us from those prohibitions of exercising our First Amendment rights.
But Ralph, would your
contact your congressmen, contact your senators,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
and let them know that we want this passed.
Exactly. Now, what you're talking about is truly more radical than what's been put on the table. You're talking about allowing all 501c3s the freedom to speak. That includes churches, while the Johnson Amendment really is a retaliation against the church itself, and it is the only thing that has been spoken of by this administration. Why do you believe that we need to liberate all 501? I mean, in that making them virtually 501c4s, they become political dynamos in and of themselves?
Well, it doesn't allow them to become political action committees,
mm-hmm.
but here's where you have people who are thinking out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
If they just made this exemption for churches, other 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit organizations could then screen discrimination. How come them and not us?
Yes.
By making this exemption open to all 501c3 tax nonprofits, you take the discrimination argument off the table completely, and therefore you remove one of the key constitutional arguments that could have been raised to block this particular piece of legislation.
Wow. But doesn't that open the room for abuse? Because, I mean, it doesn't matter in terms of the left. The left always finds a way to abuse a liberation belief of those on the right. Your thoughts in terms of that?
Everything that is good can be abused. We look at when God created everything, he said it was good, did he not?
Yes, he did.
But yet and still, everything that God created and he said it was good, we have found a way to pervert and turn it into an evil purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is going to be someone somewhere who's going to figure out how to twist this for an evil. Absolutely. But that still doesn't mean that it shouldn't have been done.
Exactly. I want to ask you in finality here, Donald Trump is being criticized for his executive orders. He has too many. He's only been in office 3 weeks, but he has already too many executive orders. And I want to ask you, sir, first and foremost, does he have too many executive orders? Or does he have too many confusing executive orders? And then lastly, why hasn't he repealed the Obama executive orders? What's up with this?
Okay, let's see. Has he done too many? Honestly, I don't like executive orders.
Yeah.
I believe that we have separation of powers. We have a legislature, and honestly, the legislature should do its job and legislate. That being said, the president does have the authority and the right to execute executive orders. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no way that you can say that he doesn't have that right. But honestly, I would prefer presidents to use executive orders sparingly and have the Congress actually do the job that they're being paid to do. And why hasn't he overturned some of Obama's orders?
Yes.
I think, truthfully, he's going after low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
Because the minute he starts dismantling Obama's executive orders, it's all hell is going to break loose. And truthfully, I think he's waiting until he gets all of his cabinet nominees confirmed before he actually, declares war on the previous administration. So after he gets all of his cabinet through and approved and seated, then I would expect him to go after some of Obama's executive orders. But he doesn't want to declare war yet because he still doesn't have his cabinet in place.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kraken himself, tomorrow morning, he will be on Roland Martin's show.
No. I made a mistake. I spoke earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be starting next Thursday on the 16th.
Okay.
So from February 16th, that Thursday, through the end of March, I'll be on every Thursday. Actually, tomorrow I get to sleep in late. Don't call me.
Leave you alone. So that will be your Valentine's gift to your wife, being on the Roland Martin show. So you don't have to get her anything.
That is, if that's the only gift I give my wife, Don Vito, get your guest room ready. I'll be over.
So romantic. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Kraken himself, Ralph J. Chittams Sr. And Ralph, can you tell them how they can get in contact with you and what website to talk to you on?
Of course. Okay, please visit me at blackelephantconsultants.com, blackelephantconsultants.com, and you can just send me an email to Chittams, CHITTAMS, at blackelephant.com.
Awesome.
I would love to hear from you. Let's chat.
And indeed, I wish I would just send him as many emails as you possibly can. And also, since you're in the chat room here, the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room, I would want you to Twitter his information out there because, I mean, the left needs to know exactly where to go to criticize. So that's makes
Come on, let's do this.
Let's do this. Go after the Kraken. Let's see how you get beaten.
That's it. Come on over to blackelephantconsultants.com. There's a tab that says contact. You can type something in there. Ask a question, try to start a fight, and let's see what happens.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being on with me tonight, man. God bless you.
All right, God bless.
Talk to you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful conversation with the Kraken. We will put him back into the Black Elephants Consultants cage. He's getting ready for next week's Roland Martin show. I'd like to thank everyone. Wait a minute. I got to do this right. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat room who brought out the point that I did not remember Black Elephants Consultants, LLC. I'd like to thank you all so much for making as many naughty comments as you did in the Euro-Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com, the TECS chat tab. I want to thank you all so much, and I hope that you love me, because I love you and you love me back, and I love you, and I hope that you love me, and I hope that you also get that one last VIP pass. We'll be right back with more of the... I got in trouble because I said two pretty women were interviewing themselves today, and that's how we started. I tell you. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen, get your cigarettes. It's time for that commercial.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, TECN Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECN Sean and TECN Clint. And we're working on integration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, TECN Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Want to know the best kept secret in flea and tick control? It's the money you'll save with 1-800-PET-MEDS. Save 30, 40, even 50% on veterinary recommended brands for your pet, and we'll deliver them free right to your door. And now you can get the safe and effective results of a top brand for even less with new Flea for X Plus. 4-way action to kill fleas, ticks, lice, and mosquitoes. Plus, it starts working in 5 minutes to 1 hour, and is backed by our 100% happy guarantee. Call now or order online from 1-800-PET-MEDS.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for a free trial today. So let's sing it one more time. There's more to Prime.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. They told me that I needed to be humble, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I decided to be awesome instead. That's The Willie Lawson Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. here on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Thank you for the tequila call. And I really enjoy ICRN, your station, the station I listen to all day.
No, okay, thanks, Dominique, for that.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Donovan Larkins, pastor of Spirit of Life Christian Center in Dayton, Ohio. But I'm also the director of Shekinah Ranch and the Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. And today I want to just share with you some of our materials that we've developed so that you too can be part of promoting prevention, education, and safety awareness to youth. We have now our Protecting Innocence t-shirt. It's a powerful marquee or billboard that you can purchase and wear yourself that brings awareness that children need advocacy. It's a powerful, powerful piece. It's simply a picture of that with this marquee here with some additional wording on it, and you will want to be a part of that. We have posters that any of you pastors or any of you community centers, you may want to obtain some of these posters and post in the recreation center. It would be great to post this in the foyer of your church. It would be awesome for you to post this throughout the schools of your community. Involvement is what's necessary. Involvement is what makes the difference. We know that in order for evil to triumph, all that is necessary is for good men and women to do nothing. And then we have these little marquees. You can order 100 of them, you can order 50 of them, and you can pass them around to your family. You can pass them around at a family event or a local event that you're going to be at a festival or something. These are very handy, they're very cost efficient, and they make a powerful statement. They really make an impact. And then we have our Protecting Innocence ribbon. And in this package, it's not only just the ribbon, but it also has a message, a safety awareness message, actually a tip. And the tip encourages parents to exercise scrutiny with the relationships that your children are involved with. Today, we see more and more children being victimized by teachers, by coaches, and by other people, other supposedly trusted individuals. And we have to prepare our children if we plan for them to be safe. And then you will want to be involved with the overall Protecting Innocence campaign, because we're making plans right now to build a retreat recovery center on our 150-acre campus where Shekinah Ranch is housed. And you can get this brochure. We can email it to you. That way there's no cost associated with it, so that you can learn how you can join our Protecting Innocence teams. We are communicating with people globally, all over the world, that are interested in how together we can protect children from dirty, evil child molesters. We love to have you on board. We need your support. We want your prayers, and we welcome your financial contributions. Again, I'm Donovan Larkins, Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. And by the way, camps are coming. So call us so that you can register your child at 937-422-6029. We'll see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republicans and then the socialists. We want to thank Dave, Bro, Cirker, Milner, Deborah Blair Frazier, everyone. Mary Brockman, my bouncer in chief. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Melanie Collette, who did a wonderful job interviewing Ebony Williams earlier today. Ralph J. Kraken, Chittams Sr., and White Mama in our chat roll tonight. The Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room is the place to be. It's not only farm living, but it's good indeed. It's a place for good conversation. And the one great thing that you might know is that many of our hosts have added the chat room to their Facebook site. So if there are any technical difficulties, you can go to their Facebook page and still remain in the chat, no matter what's going on. And Mary, I did that for you. I was thinking about you because I remember the night that you were trying so hard to get into the chat room, and there were so many people trying to climb into it that you were bounced out of it. And I'd never want my bouncer. I don't mind the rest of y'all, but I never want my bouncer to be bounced. So, so I want to make certain, Mary, that you always have the opportunity to listen to the show and participate in it accordingly. We're working with Donovan Larkins in terms of trying to raise $10,000 for those summer classes or summer camp at least. And we're doing that because we need our children. You managed to listen to SHR. Thank you, Mary. But I never want you to have to leave my side. I don't want you to have to go to their territory. You know, according to Mamba, we have already a court order against them for having a segregated chat room with SHR. Sean's going to get me on that one. Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and BZ tonight on Sackheads Radio. Prime time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Pacific. But I want to say to you all, in our work with Donovan Larkins, it is to heal the broken spirits of children who've been advantaged sexually by those that they trust most. And we're trying to raise $10,000 for their summer camps and also to give $3,000 to Syracuse University in the name of Shanice Milton, my 27-year-old daughter who was killed. I'm not going to tell you that we're having a very easy time doing it. We're struggling. But I'm hoping that as we go on during the course of this year, we'll be able to raise the money necessary, especially before the summer. Because I would hate that kids are turned away from being healed because it's just no money there. So I'm hoping that we can do that. Above the chat room on the TECS page, if you're not on the front page already, is a red button says donate today, protect the innocent. If you click on there, it takes you directly to the spot where you can make your donation. $5, $10, $25, $100. Give the whole $10,000. It's up on you, whatever you wish to do. But giving that money opens the door for all of us. I want to also announce tonight that the diva-in-chief of Shannon and Mike in the morning, The Right Way, will not be with us. Apparently, I'm not paying her enough to come on this particular hour of the night, and she needs some beauty sleep and everything else. No, just joking. So she will not be able to come on tonight. But we look forward to listening to her tomorrow morning. Rise and shine, 7 a.m. on TECN AM. I want to talk with you all tonight, since we're in the subject matter, about the disease that's about to be offered to America as a cure. You see, we've been told over the past, oh my goodness, since Nancy Reagan with the Just Say No campaign and the AIDS blankets of that particular day of the 80s, the late 80s, we've been told, and in fact, you have to even go back even further than that, maybe the 60s with the sexual revolution. You have to go all the way back where the morality of sexuality had been virtually broken. I know, for instance, growing up, I was watching Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy and so many other programs. And when they had the husband and wife sleeping, they were in twin beds apart from one another. We moved from an era where it was more important to protect the innocence of the young person who was viewing than to, basically assault them with facts and thoughts and stories that their parents had not yet given them. I mean, I didn't get the birds and the bees story until I was like 12 or 13 from my father. My mom had been telling me since I was 6, so I was ready. But having your father sit down and tell you that, quite frankly, there are things that you can do with a woman that would get her pregnant. So all that stuff that you saw on, those old shows where they had separate, that's not real, son. That's not real. The real thing is that God created a man and a woman to be together, to love one another, to cherish one another. And the gift that God gives them for doing so is children. Now, not everybody gets that gift. Not everybody can have children. There are other gifts, holdings that they can have. They can adopt children. Or they can love other people's children. But the greatest gift would be our children. You are the progeny. You are the hope of our legacies. Our ancestors thought of you when they had me. And so there was this sense in the community that our role and our responsibility was to protect one another, to love one another, to be honest on the facts of life, but to prevent the wolves from coming amongst the lambs. Do you really think those scriptures in the Bible are so, metaphorically high in understanding that they don't have earthly application? There are wolves amongst all the lambs in our society. Some of those wolves happen to be in the same house or the same building or the same farm as the lamb itself. And it's the responsibility of us to protect our children, to keep them from all hurt, harm, and danger. I want to take you tonight to a story in which that was not done. And I want you to understand that the disease of perversion, now I can go through the whole list of them, but the disease of perversion, moral and sexual perversion, is literally putting every single one of our children at risk. I mean, who am I to come against a single mother? How did it get to a point where, because I said that a man and a woman should be together in the bondage of marriage and should raise their children, that would be the best environment possible with the greatest amount of productivity? How did that become offensive all of a sudden? And then we raise the walls, giving tribute on Father's Day to mothers. How did we get to this particular point? The breakdown of the moral authority in the home, in the schools, in government, in our economy, in our churches, in our families. A breakdown of moral order. Well, morality is meant to tell you what is right and what is wrong. And quite frankly, I have been told that it's wrong for me to say that a child should not be the bride of a 70-year-old man. Sharia law, of course. See, but those on the left, they are part and parcel now. They are inclusive. See, diversity includes misogyny. It includes the mutilation of a woman's clitoris. It includes the defilement of women, treating them as less than dogs. You see, that's the moral brokenness in our society. But why do I bring up the moral brokenness in our society? I bring it up because of a sex offender. Now you would say right now, Ken, hey, this you are way out there, man. This all doesn't wrap together. I don't know what you're talking about. You went from what happened in 1960. You talked about I Love Lucy. You're all over the place. I want you to keep this to note, and if you want to print it in there. We have been told by those on the left that moral perversion and sexual perversion are essential for there to be liberty. I want to take you to a story where a convicted sex offender was taken into custody yesterday. Or I'm sorry, early this morning, in fact, forgive me, in Washington, D.C. He had been sought by U.S. Marshals for failing to self-report to a transitional center following his release from a prison in Virginia earlier this month. Now, you might recognize his picture because literally he's got tattoos over every part of his face. I mean, the guy looks sick. I don't know why you release him into... He looks like he needs help. Matthew Stager, who's 44, was released from the Federal Correctional Complex in Petersburg, Virginia on February 2nd. Now, I want you to know what day today is. Today is the 8th. He was released on February 2nd, according to KTLA sister station WTVR in Richmond. He was given a one-day furlough to travel to Austin, Texas. Yeah, that's down near the professor, underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, and also Dan the Man Butcher. They're down in that. That's a Texas thing. And signed a form acknowledging that he was still in the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons until his projected release date in July. You see, his signature acknowledged that he could be charged with escape should he fail to report to the Austin Transitional House as directed. The same gentleman who saw your little boy and your little girl as his tasty twist for sexual power. And not even sexual, just mere power over a weakened individual, a child. Well, it's not clear how Stager intended to get to Texas. Is the question. Someone gets. I know for a fact that it may cost you over $100 by Greyhound bus to get to Austin, Texas. Take you a little while. It wasn't clear how Stager intended to get to Texas, according to the Virginian Pilot newspaper. And I don't think a man who's just released under the authority and custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons has all the wherewithal to get there. There wasn't a car waiting for him outside of it, like in the Blues Brothers, to take him for the ride of his life. So let me ask you something. Since you all really believe that prevention won't be the cure in this area, there's no need for, donating any money. If something happens, I'll make sure the kid has some, money to take care of himself, get over it. Until his arrest, and I'm going to put this in the chat room for people to know, because you have a great deal of faith in your government, and I got a lot of faith in what people can do. But literally, Until his arrest, Stagger's whereabouts were unknown, according to U.S. Marshals. I like what Dave said, that his type never rehabilitates. But look at that picture, baby. Look at that picture. Do you really think it? Now, according to Deputy U.S. Marshal Chris Lure, the possibilities are endless. He's kind of a drifter, could make it by with very little. So I ask you, do you feel that he may have popped up in your neighborhood? You see, he was released in Virginia, Richmond, which is about 2 hours drive from Washington, D.C., an hour and a half if you do above the 70-mile-per-hour limit that you're supposed to. But they didn't find him in Kentucky. They didn't find him in North Carolina. They didn't find him in Mississippi or Arkansas. They didn't find him down there. Where did they find him this morning? They found him in Washington, D.C., walking down the street by 2 police officers near a courthouse. Do you really think, my friends, that he had any intention on going to Austin? I'm quite certain he was probably headed to the Greyhound station at Union Station, but the courthouse is about 5 or 6 blocks away from that. Ladies and gentlemen, I say all this to say to you, there's some out there that believe that pedophilia is a way of life and want to pass laws to protect it. There's some out there that believe that Sharia law supersedes the Constitution. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that totalitarianism is what we are in mission to fight against and to destroy. It starts with protecting our children. It starts with installing morals back into our classrooms and our church and our homes. And then fighting the good fight in government and the economy. We have an awesome battle before us. And it's not just about taxes, and it's not just about, the Lyndon Johnson Act. We got to restore America to who loved us first, our sovereign God. If you don't remember anything that I said tonight, I hope that you remember this. Without a shadow of a doubt, God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. Go to shrmedia.com for more of the best in urban conservative talk. Good night and God bless.